21st Platoon. Hard drop. Secure our landing zone.
Understood.
Over the target in 5.
Hang on to your helmet.
Alright, Grunts, welcome back to From ODST to Helldiver. In this video, we are going to talk about all things secondary weapon related. And again, we're going to check out the armory here, which is located halfway through your ship. That's where you spawn. That is the map, and this is the armory. So we can check out the secondary weapons here, but at the time of recording, there is no option to customize these in any way. What you see is essentially what you're going to get with the secondary weapons. But we will dive into them nonetheless. Starting with the first section in the secondary weapons, first category is pistols. And you can see here, the warrant is first up, but we are actually going to talk about the Peacemaker first, because if memory serves, this is the first sidearm that you new recruits are going to get when you first get into the game. Now, it's not a bad sidearm at all, but it is not as good as almost any primary weapons. So you can see here we have light armor penetration, and it is one-handed, which all of these pistols have the trait of one-handed, which means they are usable with one of those ballistic shields, which makes them pretty interesting. If you're a fan of the shield, these pistols are pretty good. So it has light armor, one-handed, and has 85 damage, capacity of 15, recoil of 20, which is okay, and a fire rate of 900. Now this is not an automatic pistol, but you can fire it very, very fast in semi-auto fashion. Pretty good. It also comes with, as you can see here, a little attachment in the front. I actually forget if it's a flashlight or if it's a laser, but either way, it is there. It looks like that same attachment is on all of these, except for the warrant. Okay, now that we have the basic pistol covered, let's go to the Redeemer, which I think is the next up for you guys to maybe unlock. And as you can see here, it has a pretty large magazine, and it is a fully auto pistol. So it does not have the alt-fire mode of semi-auto, it's just an automatic. It's light armor penetration and one-handed. It has a much higher fire rate than the Peacemaker, but deals less damage. It has a higher capacity for ammo and also has a lessened recoil. So that would be the Redeemer here. It's a pretty good gun. It will give you that feeling of having an Uzi. Not bad. Next up is the Verdict, and this gun is really nice since it has medium armor penetration. You can see here it does more damage than the other guns so far. 125 damage, a 10 magazine capacity. The recoil is 31, so it's a decent amount, and the fire rate is 450, which is less than the other two pistols. Half as much, actually, as the Peacemaker. So it is a bit more of a damaging weapon. It has a little bit less ammo capacity, does some more damage, and has less fire rate. Next up, we have the Senator, which does a massive amount here. This is probably my favorite pistol of the bunch. It has heavy armor penetration. It's one-handed and it has rounds reload. So you will have to reload each and every bullet, which makes it a little bit slower and maybe less impactful against hordes of enemies, but very, very good against big tough enemies. It has a damage of 200, a capacity of only 6, a recoil of 31, and a fire rate of 200. This is the hand cannon. And the closest thing that we have in-game to the Halo 1 mythical pistol. This thing is a monster, and I love it. It's good at taking down heavy armored enemies. Pretty much anything you shoot is going to get messed up by this thing, despite the low ammo capacity. Now we are finally going to talk about the Warrant, which is a new pistol that came out with one of the most recent war bonds. And this is the pistol that has that alt fire mode where it can auto track enemies and auto target them, which is toggleable on and off as an alt fire mode. It is a medium armor penetrating weapon and one-handed, and very comparable to the Verdict in that regard, medium and one-handed. It does slightly less damage. It has the same fire rate, same recoil, and slightly more capacity. And it has that auto lock-on feature, which some of you are going to find really nice. The Warrant is pretty cool. I do really like it, especially with that auto targeting. It's pretty interesting, but takes some getting used to. Okay, so we have covered pistols now. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the melee weapons section for the secondary weapons. And this is maybe my favorite section, even though these aren't particularly as good as maybe a gun would be. So first up to bat, I'm actually going to talk about the stun lance first. It has what says light armor penetration, one-handed, and stun, but in reality it does penetrate quite a bit of armor. There was a recent patch that made it unable to pierce through a charger or stun a charger, so it is most likely not heavy armor penetrating or anti-tank anymore like melee weapons used to be, and I think that goes without saying for all melee weapons. They are unable to pierce through tank armor rating, which is the tier 4. But this will get through pretty much any of the standard enemies you'll fight and stun them every time. Now, these melee weapons are all going to perform a little bit differently with the animations and have a specific role that they're particularly good at. The stun lance in particular is a very good single target stunning denying weapon. So if you have your shield out, since this is one-handed, you can lunge out and stab one enemy and stun them for a few seconds while you deal with other enemies, and you do single target just one, and it has a bit more range than these other melee weapons as secondaries. It's pretty cool. I do like it. I do enjoy the melee builds on here, even though they are much more challenging than the regular gameplay. Next up, we got the Saber, which is a bit of a ceremonial sword. It is light armor pen and is one-handed. All of these say recoil 6, but they don't really have recoil, I don't think. They're not guns. But the Saber and the combat hatchet actually function very similarly to each other. They're both hack and slash weapons. They both have the same light armor one-handed, and they swing in a side-to-side motion. So if you're surrounded by enemies, these two are particularly good in dealing with that, being able to hit something to your left, right in front of you, and to the right in one swing. But they do suffer from less range than the stun lance. So just keep that in mind. You have to get really close to really make these effective, and you'll probably get hit while you're hitting enemies, which is why I usually try to have some kind of shield. And moving on to the last melee weapon, we have the stun baton. Now, the stun baton kind of combines elements of the other weapons all into one. It is light armor penetrating, it says, though it still has the same capacity as the other weapons to pretty much deal with anything medium armor or less, and probably heavy armor as well, though not anti-tank. Don't take my word for it, just test them out and see what your results are. But the stun baton has that same kind of damage, one-handed, and it also includes the stun of the stun lance, as well as having the side-to-side motion that the hatchet and the saber have. So this is really good against enemies that are to your left, in front of you, and to the right in one swing, and it also stuns them as it's doing it, making this a very interesting weapon. I do think technically it is better than these two, as it allows stun as well as everything else that it does, though I can't confirm what the actual amount of damage is for all four of these. I think they all do the same amount of damage. So the stun baton is probably just better than these two all around, but you may experience different results. I will say I prefer the combat hatchet to all the others, though the stun lance is really close second. Stun baton is maybe my least favorite, even though it's probably the most powerful of all of them, since it can hit a wide array of enemies and stun them all. But that's just personal preference. You guys should toy around with it and find out what you like. And then moving on, we have the last section here, the special secondary weapons. First up is the stim pistol. It is one-handed, has rounds reload, and it says it has the stimulative property. And essentially what this does, and probably noticed, it does 0 damage, capacity of 6, recoil, and fire rate of 70. This is a gun that shoots stim pistols to your allies to heal them. So if you ever wanted to treat Helldivers 2 kind of like some kind of RPG, you wanted a specific role and you wanted to play the medic, this is essentially that option for you. Secondary weapon that can go around healing people. Now, reasons that you would want the stim pistol as opposed to some kind of firearm is because most of the time, if I'm being honest, I don't use my secondary weapon actually to kill my enemies. I try to stick with the primary or the support weapon. So the secondary weapon is really kind of whatever you want, and the stim pistol could be that thing that you want. It's very good in team play. It's very useless in solo play. Other things to note about the stim pistol and why a lot of people probably don't use it is because your teammates are going to be trying to dodge the enemies and you are trying to shoot them, so they're trying to inadvertently dodge you helping them. Most of the time your teammates have their own stims, and if they're low on health they will likely use their stims. It's a rare circumstance that people are actually out of stims themselves. So those are a couple reasons not to use the stim pistol, but there are also those times somebody wants to heal but can't, and the stim pistol is perfect. Next up, under special, we have the Bushwhacker. The Bushwhacker is a one-handed light armor penetrating shotgun that has a max capacity of 3. Damage is 405, which is fantastic, but I think that's because it has 2 modes of firing. The first one is you fire each individual bullet, and the second option is to fire all 3 bullets at once. So I think this damage is actually the all 3 bullets at once damage, and if we divide that out by 3, that's 135 damage per bullet. I could be wrong about that. In testing, I found that the 3 bullet option to shoot with completely obliterates everything in front of me, so it could be that it's actually 1215 damage with the triple shot. Hard to say. Recoil on this thing is 108, which is absolutely massive, and the fire rate is 650. If you're firing the 3 bullets, it's pretty quick. Do really like this shotgun. It is pretty cool. Next up in this section is the Talon, which is our first laser pistol. It is medium armor pin, one-handed, and has the heat property. So again, it is going to use the heat sink property, where as you keep using this weapon, it's going to start heating up, and if you don't let it cool down, it will completely run out and won't be available until you replace the heatsink. You can technically have this weapon be infinite ammo as long as you keep the fire rate slow enough, or you fire a bit and then don't fire for a while to let it cool off. Good for swapping into a primary weapon that also has the heatsink property. You can swap back and forth and basically have infinite ammo and infinite firing between the two. Pretty cool combination there. The damage is 200, the fire limit is 1, the recoil is 2, so very negligible, and the fire rate is pretty rapid with 750. I think the Talon essentially has the capacity to shoot 7 bullets immediately back to back before overheating. If you spread those shots out, it can technically be infinite though. Next up on these specials is the Crisper one-handed weapon. Basically a one-handed flamethrower. You are fine to use a shield in combination with this, which is pretty nice. It does 380 damage per second, which is a massive amount. The capacity is a lowly 30 compared to, I think the flamethrower has like 300 or more. It runs out of ammo fairly quickly, but that is the trope of the secondary weapon, and it has a negligible recoil. So this is a fairly interesting little one-handed flamethrower with low ammo capacity, but has some really interesting one-handed properties and other things. I'm a huge fan. Next up under special, we have the amazing grenade pistol. This is medium armor penetrating one-handed property, which I love, and the explosive property. The damage on this thing is 650, rivaling even the explosive crossbow. The capacity for the grenade pistol is 1, so essentially you fire and then you have to reload. You fire again and reload once more. The recoil is negligible since it's a one-shot and move on, and the fire rate says 900 but is completely irrelevant since you have an ammo capacity of 1. The benefits of the grenade pistol are immense though. I think you have a total of 15 grenades or so when you're using it. I could be wrong about that number, it's been a while since I've used it. Updates come and go and change some things. Could be much less, and I feel like perhaps it is. But the grenade pistol is very good about taking out groups of enemies, as well as being able to close bug holes and factories for the automatons, as well as if you can get one of the landed ships for the Illuminate to have its shields down, you can shoot inside the door and blow it up completely with just one shot. So the grenade pistol has a ton of practicality. It's very good, especially if you swap your throwables out for something that cannot close those bug holes, factory, and Illuminate ships. So this is a very, very good secondary weapon, one of the best, though I must refrain from saying the best. That is yet to come. Next up we have the Lays 7 Dagger, which is light armor penetration, one-handed, beam, and heat. So this is a one-handed beam type of weapon that has a heat sink, so you can fire it for a while before it overheats, If you spread it out, it is technically infinite ammo. The damage is 250 damage per second. The fire limit is for 7 seconds of sustained fire, and there is no recoil on a laser weapon. So this is a fantastic secondary. It has a short fuse of time before it overheats, but you can pair this very well with any of the other laser-based primary weapons that has the heatsink property, and just rotate between the two of them, letting them cool down while you're using the other one. Very good secondary weapon. Next up is the absolute #1 secondary weapon, for me at least, the Ultimatum. This is essentially a miniature nuke launcher. It is anti-tank, one-handed, and explosive. The damage is an obscene 3,000 damage. The capacity is 1, so you fire and then plant another nuke on the tip there. And it has a recoil which is negligible since you have to reload anyways after you fire, and a fire rate of 900, though it is also negligible and irrelevant. You only have one at a time anyways. Now the ammo capacity is the major flaw of the Ultimatum. You have 1 round in the chamber, and then you have 1 on standby, so a total of 2 nukes at full ammo capacity. Very, very unfortunate, but I still place the Ultimatum as the #1 secondary weapon. Anything like a charger is easily taken down by a direct hit from an Ultimatum. You can kill Bile Titans to the face. You can, I think, kill Factory Striders in 2 shots, I want to say. You can blow up almost any objective or structure in the game that you need to with the Ultimatum. But it also suffers from the bullet gravity, and this is a pretty heavy nuke. The arc is pretty intense, so the range is very low as well. This also is very good at closing bug holes. I've seen it kill 2 birds with 1 stone on that front. It's just an overall devastating weapon. If you know that you have some ammo available on the ground near you, you can just fire this off into a horde and forget about them and reload. Very good. The reload does take some time. I will say the most annoying part about the Ultimatum is the likelihood to kill yourself with it. If you accidentally fire this thing anywhere remotely near you or a teammate, you are 100% dead. No questions asked. And then, last but not least, is the Plas 15 Loyalist pistol. This is medium armor penetration, one-handed, has some charge up, and is explosive. And this, again, is very similar to that primary weapon. Let's see real quick which one that was. It is basically the counterpart to the Purifier. So everything I said about the Purifier, it's the same thing. This weapon, you can fire individual bullets without the charge up, and it will still damage things fairly well. With the armor penetration, it'll do a decent amount of damage, but there will not be as much of an explosive. But if you charge it up, you will get that bigger explosion when you fire it. Now this is much worse than the primary weapon counterpart, as it has less of an ammo capacity, and is of course a pistol, so you don't feel like it has a great range, and it's very counterintuitive to do a long range attack with this, but it still packs quite a punch. It's a very good sidearm, very interesting. Damage is sitting at 125, capacity is 7 bullets, which is its biggest downside, it's the ammo capacity. The recoil is at a 6, and the fire rate is an obscene 1,000. 100% you can fire off all 7 bullets in rapid succession very, very easily with this gun. But I do recommend the charge-ups instead. It's still really good, it's just very low on the ammo front. But aren't they all? Alright guys, that is everything I have for you about the secondary weapons to choose from. Again, I think I have everything unlocked that you guys are capable of gathering once you get in the game, but this game will have several updates in the future, and who knows what will come out next. Alright guys, hopefully you guys learned some stuff, and this is pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and catch you guys next time. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of From ODST to Helldiver. If you found any of the information in this video useful, please go ahead and leave a like. And if you have any questions about anything, you want some clarification, or maybe you want to sync up in-game, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and maybe I can add you. We can get a couple of games together. And if you want to see a couple of more videos like this, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? That would really, really be appreciated. And hopefully this video gets you guys a little bit more prepared for when this inevitably drops on the Xbox. I hope everybody watching sees so many similarities between the Helldivers and the ODSTs. They're pretty much doing all of the same things. And I do find this game is, without a doubt, one of the greatest Halo games in the last 10 years. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.